Hey guys, welcome to HBCU Drumline Talk. My name is Ricardo, and once again, we are back. I'm joined by my brother in percussion, EP the Great, also known as Elijah Powell. And man, Elijah, it's great to be back on here with you. We just came off a great episode that was enjoyed by all who tuned in at this point. And you guys, typically I come on and I do my spiel about introductions, but we have a special episode today. And I like to call this episode the Percussion Lounge. The Percussion Instructor Lounge, actually. And we have a lot of percussion instructors on here from pretty much a wide variety of HBCUs on here to talk with us. So we're going to go ahead and take off. We're going to let them introduce themselves and we'll get on with it. Who wants to be first?
I'll go ahead and go first. Greetings, everybody. I'm Mr. KJ Hudson. I am the percussion instructor at North Carolina Central University, and this is my third year working with this program.
Okay, I'll go. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nicholas Jackson. I'm from Augusta, Georgia. I'm the second year assistant percussion instructor at Edward Waters University. And I'm glad to be here as well.
Glad to have you.
Okay, so again, my name is Joewe Cabrera. I'm the current percussion instructor / assistant band director at Wilberforce University, located in Ohio, Xenia, Ohio. I think that's how you say it. And it's my third day on the job.
Oh, third day, good.
My name is Dr. Lamon Lawhorn. I serve as assistant director of bands, oversee percussion activities at North Carolina A&T State University. This will be my 9th year at North Carolina A&T and going into my 13th year teaching in total.
And hi, everybody. My name's Shawn Hall. I'm the percussion instructor at Norfolk State University. This is year 5 for me at Norfolk, probably year 9 or 10 overall with being a percussion instructor.
Well, wow, I really appreciate you guys' introduction. It's great to have you guys on the cast all together. We're just going to have a good time today. EP, I'm going to let you take over if you have anything you want to say.
Well, just to introduce myself for the people who don't know, I'm co-host of HBCU Drumline Talk, but also percussion instructor for Virginia State University. Going on my 19th year, 2 years as assistant, and the rest as the head.
Oh, good. Okay, gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get on started. And as I like to say, we're just lounging today. This is our percussion lounge, as we would say. And just for talking points, just want to let everybody know what we'll be just talking about a couple of points. So the first talking point that we want to talk about, think about your individual programs and what challenges have you had in the past that will help you better prepare for this up and coming season?
I know I would go. My challenge in the past, I would say I would wait to the last minute to get my music, written out, ready to go for the season. I would always have my warm-ups, this and that, but the newer cadences or the block music, show music, I would always wait to the last minute. Now I'm stuck in band camp trying to do everything, write music, teach them. It was too much. So I learned my lesson pretty quick.
Yeah, cool.
I think with me, I think a major lesson I learned in the past was just the speed of which you do a transition. So this is my third year at Central or whatever. And, there were certain things that I knew I wanted to kind of do when I got there, but I learned to kind of slow down when you do them instead of like when I was at Dudley, I made some drastic changes like on the first day. You know what I mean? And I ended up having to go back and then rework to where I wanted to go. Whereas with this group, like I kind of got a really good method of, okay, I'm gonna do a little bit this year, then add a little bit next year, and then so on and so on, because I plan to be there for a little while. So that's definitely something that's kind of helped each year, as far as like something that was challenging at first, but then it's making it easier and easier. And because they're gradually getting it, it's kind of like gradual release in the education system. Like because they're gradually getting it, we're almost at the point now where like I barely have to say certain things. Like they kind of already know what's coming, or they'll be on the same wavelength of like, as I'm getting ready to introduce something, they'll be like, hey, I got a question. Can we do such and such? And I'll be like, that's exactly what I wanted you to say. So that's a good thing.
Good, cool.
I'll go ahead next. I'll answer this question a little different, but still in the same content. But like I would say I learned from my first year, kind of like, how I prepare for certain things in certain situations. I know like, okay, this is what you have to do. Like, don't kind of, ease your way. Nah, if you're gonna do it, go ahead and take them 10 steps and do it. Not just be like, oh, all right, let me try to do it, but let me see how I go. This like, nah, we past seeing how stuff go. Go ahead and do it type. So that's kind of, how I'm gonna answer that question.
Okay, cool. You just jump right on into it, right?
Yeah. So
okay, good.
Things that I've learned from the past is that everybody does not learn the same, and every season, every line is not the same. So you may have these standard techniques that you use and say, oh, I know this is tried and true. It works. There'll be a student that this does not work, or your approach with a certain year that was great and fantastic and produced results does not work with this year. So my whole thing has just been able to realize that you have to make adjustments and that you can't just go in one way with this is how it works. Me and a friend of mine had this quote in grad school. We were saying, never lower your standards, but you may have to change your expectations. You thought you expected everybody to have it on day one. They don't have it. Your standard is still to get everything done, but you just got to maneuver and alter the way you go about doing things, because you can't have the same expectations with different people. Never lower your standards, but your expectations may have to change.
That's good. That's a good point. Thanks.
Definitely want to agree with Dr. Lawhorn. Definitely want to agree with that. Adjustment. Got to know how to, move and groove and adjust when you need to adjust.
And I'm a piggyback off of that. Expectations for me is a big one as well, particularly in the beginning when I first started instructing versus now in the end. I think you gain patience the longer you teach, the longer you understand that you can't have the same level of expectations. So for instance, 10, 15 years ago, we were practicing, let's just say past 9 o'clock. Shall we say that? Past 9 o'clock. Times have changed. It's not that way anymore. So can you expect a full-time student to get A's in all his classes, attend band practice, and then be ready for a sectional if the time is going to be cut? So expectations for how they prepare for the next day when they come back the next day might be a little bit different. So just being reasonable about what your expectations are with students in the year 2022, being able to adjust and adapt to the current times and the way things are now, I think is a very valuable tool as an instructor.
Yeah, that was a challenge for me also. First week of camp, I'm expecting to play in the 10, 15 cadences, some block music. But you got to take that step back. Like, everybody's not going to learn that fast. So yeah, that was a challenge. And
you know what else too? Sometimes we get tempted to say, oh, well, back in my day, right? Like, we learned all the warm-ups on day one. And, that's the bar. And if you don't make it all the way through warm-ups in day one, then you sorry.
Yeah.
You can't necessarily do that. Times have changed. These students have changed as well. The expectations for them are a lot different, and they're being raised differently than we were. So you got to be realistic. But
also, I hate to be that one, but we practice longer than the newer generation. We had some hours. We put some hours in,
So I've been on the fence about, I'm glad you brought that up, because it made me think of something I saw with some folk. I think it was some high school instructors talking on Facebook about like how this year, the sun ain't been out as much, blase. But like, and it's something I had to kind of like, I guess take accountability for, kind of look at the man in the mirror. Like, a lot of us marched in the heydays of, we stayed out way past 9 o'clock, or we did this, we did that. But I think to myself, like, was it truly productive, like to 100%, or were we doing something because that was just what we normally do? And I remember talking to one of the young boys, I'm not gonna say who it was, but I was like, instead of, being upset that these kids not out there in the heat like we were, use the fact that they're not there in the heat and do more than what we could have did because of the heat. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a piece we sometimes forget. It's like we kind of, and I think us as Black people, we kind of have this rite of passage type deal. And it's like, you got to do what we did. But it's like, I kind of had to be accountable with myself and say, nah, you don't have to do what I did, but you do have to pass the strides that I made. You know what I mean? And I think once I started looking at stuff that way, like that kind of changed my mindset. So I'm glad you kind of brought that up because that's something that had been on my mind to kind of talk about.
Yeah, really
I know for me, so this is my first year being a collegiate instructor. So I know from my experience of actually marching in college band, like we would typically lose, like, you know how you do the whole, well, you know, you weed out the weak individuals in the first like 3 days. So one of our biggest problems used to be like, we would have the talent, but they just never had the drive or they never exercised. So when they get the shock of the culture shock of band, they quit, or they just don't want to, like, or they feel like they can't take it, or they lose their passion and things like that. So I know for me up here, like, and I got this from Lawhorn. So Lawhorn, he was talking to me in the spring and he was like, make sure you keep checking in on them. So like that Verizon wireless commercial, and the guy was like, hey, can you hear me now? Good. He walked a little bit. Can you hear me now? Good. One thing I'm doing with my students now is I understand what it was like to have to keep pushing, and somebody's like, I don't care, keep going. Like, I'm not taking that approach. I'm kind of taking that, everybody good? Like, yeah, it's like, I don't want nobody to quit. I don't want nobody to feel like they can't take it because they're not in the best physical shape. Like, you may be able to play, like, you can play all day. Just because you can't really run around right now, that doesn't mean you won't be able to run around next week. So one thing I'm really trying to do is just make sure everybody keeping tabs on everybody. Everybody good. You know what I'm saying? There's your back, like, because I forgot who said it. I think it was Elijah Powell. He said, this generation is not as strong as how we was and how y'all was. I crabbed in 2013, and that was hard as it is, but that was 10 years ago. I can only imagine 20 years ago, you know, and then so I'm taking that into consideration more, like, you know, y'all good. I'm always checking in on them because I just don't want nobody to quit. You know, like, truth be told, I don't need nobody to quit. Everybody stay. We got a good thing going. Don't pass this up because you can't do something right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, everyone made some awesome points here, and Elijah, I'm so glad to see we have a wide variety of talking points on this, or wide variety of views on actually this particular talking point. So good, thanks to everyone.
So, Joey, you said a good statement about, you know, checking in on them. You know, you good, you all right. That's one of the things I started, you know, maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago. You know, your marching band is you know what, August to December, but you know, all year round, I'm checking in on them. Are you still on your grades? How y'all doing? How your parents doing? How your kids doing if you got kids? You know, I felt that's a best practice for us, you know, my program. So I guess for the next talking point, what would be some best practices for as far as you guys program that you learned over the years, or, you know, works for us, you know, what's the best practice?
I'll go ahead and speak on it. Basically, I've done the same thing. You know, some of those guys I, you know, check in on. You know, I try to get to everybody, but, you know, I basically try to make sure, like, hey, like, you know, saying, you all right? How you doing in school? And, you know, how is, you know, I just try to make sure they just don't think like, oh man, you just brought me here because you want me to play drums for you. Now, like, that's the last thing I want any of my students to feel like. So, you know, sometimes I do, like, you know, like at the end of the season last year, just on some like, hey, like, I appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? I just went and put something on the grill for them, just, you know, just small you know, appreciate, just to show them like, hey, like, you know, we do work hard. I do ask a lot of you, but, you know, I'ma still show you my appreciation towards you too, because at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, you have feelings. You are a man, you are, you know, a woman. So, you know, that's my little spin, you know, my little 2 cents on that.
I'll jump in. My two best practice things kind of relate to like two words. So like transparency and productivity. And so like on the transparency side, like, you know, one of the first things I do when I get my group is I tell them who I am. So it's no confusion. And what my kids that are, you know, my kids now, you know, they'll tell somebody new coming in like, look, Hudson, like as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, we're gonna have the best time. It's gonna be funny because Hudson's crazy. But if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, Hudson is crazy. So, but I let them know on day one, like, hey, when you're doing what we're supposed to do, everything is lovely. It's peaches and cream, you know, but when you're not, then, you know, I'm gonna get that out of you. Cause like Lawhorn said, you know, like you're not gonna change your expectation. You know what I'm saying? And like, if you fall below my expectation, then we're not being productive. And we're gonna be productive, but we gotta have fun too. But me doing that opens up a different environment. So like, for example, like, because 90% of the time, you know, the kids feel safe, you know what I'm saying? Because we having fun, you know, people are laughing, whatever. That 10% where I got to get that 10% where I got to give you 110, you know, it's all love. Sort of like, you know, how a parent is, you know, like when a parent got to come down on you because they're your parent, they've taken care of you this whole time. You know that it's just discipline, and it's not, oh, I want to quit because, you know, we done ran campus and we done ran the warm-ups 30 times back to back. Like, you know, it's like, okay, nah, like we had Mr. Hudson messed up, you know. But then on the other side, like the productivity part. So like my students know, like if it's something that I can control, they're gonna have it well above time. Sort of like when your professor gives you a syllabus. You know what I'm saying? Like before you even get to me, like if you're an incoming freshman, you know, I give you what's called a entry expectations document. And it's mapped out like a good overview of everything that we're going to do. It's got links to all the rudiments, majority of the cadences that you need to know. So you already have access to everything so we can be productive. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's not a whole lot of, dang, we got the drill music at the last day. For example, like I sent the drill music out 2 days ago and we ain't even got to camp because that's the type of time. See what I'm saying? So when they're used to, okay, we got a productive mindset, it's a lot of stuff I don't have to do on the back end. And if I do have to do it, it's already understood because like Mr. Hudson, he gave us all the tools. So if we didn't use them and he used us, that's on us. You know what I mean? So those are my two best practices. And it seems to work very well.
Yeah, I like what you said, KJ, because one thing for me, I try to, like the transparency thing, I try to maintain an environment where it's suitable to work in. Because once you start to work on something for too long and then it starts to get stressful, it's like, yeah, we're beating a dead horse right now. We're not being productive with our practice time. And it's funny because KJ and Lawhorn, like I learned a lot of my stuff from y'all. So a lot of the stuff that I say is like, yeah, I'll do the same thing. Like I told them today, I said, listen, I'm trying to be the cool guy right now because there's no need for me to turn up because we're all adults. There's no need. I just finished teaching high school. So I had to talk to my high school students. I had to say things 3 times. I had the layman's terms like, hey, it's a right, left, right. Like I had to do all that stuff. So, you know, I try to make sure like they understand, like, can we just make sure this is an environment where we're all disciplined and we don't have to just do that because it's just unnecessary. Like there's no need to bring any negative feedback or negative aspects to practice because it doesn't solve anything. And the best way to kind of just, I'd be upfront, just like KJ said, like, listen, we can, y'all do stupid stuff, we can do stupid stuff. Like, you know,
Very good.
we can do it, but we don't have to. We just don't have to.
Joey, I like what you said. I tell my kids all the time, I'm gonna tell you one time, maybe twice. After that, that's it. I can't help you no more. I'm not gonna repeat myself.
I'm on that same thing now too. Like, look, man, I'm gonna tell you once, but if I gotta tell you twice, if I got to tell you 3 times, it's really a problem. The 3rd time ain't gonna be so nice. So
the 2nd time might not be nice because if I say it again, it's like now you working, man. Now you want me to. Like, come on.
I have a different approach on that. I'm gonna give you three. I'm gonna give you three. Like, do you got it? No, I don't have it. Okay, cool. Do you have it? No, I don't have it. Okay, because now I need to understand, like, maybe it's my teaching, right? Maybe it's something I didn't do. And I'm always asking that because, like, I'm big on philosophies, I'm big on quotes and all of that stuff. So when you point the finger at somebody, you got three pointing back at you. So you got to figure out where you lie in the problem. So I'm like, well, maybe it's something I wrote, or maybe it's the rhythm. Okay, help me help you. I'm always like, help me help you, because this is gonna help me teach somebody else later on, and you know, because they probably don't know either, and you probably not the only one with these questions. So what's up? By that third time, now I'm like, all right, dog.
It ain't me.
You didn't have your time.
Right.
Just together. Now we do. But as Shawn said, you know, it's all about patience. So for me, my best practices evolve year after year with patience. Like, because these are kids. Like, when I first started teaching, I was 26, and there was people online that was like 22. But now I'm almost 40, and these kids is graduating like when I was like starting college. So these are kids to me. And the way, like we talked about earlier, there's the longer practice time. Students aren't coming in the same. And it's just from a systemic or systematic, whatever. They're not coming in as strong as they were when they was learning how to play in middle school, because some of them getting introduced in high school. Some of them have only been playing for a shorter amount of time. Some of them have come from programs who didn't have strong directors who either taught them how to read or taught them, you know, different aspects of percussion. And it's getting worse and worse because of an emphasis on certain things in whatever climate or culture or whatever states on. Some people just focus on parade bands or marching band, or some people total whatever. So I'm having to understand that students are coming in at a lower musical intelligence level. So my whole thing is really having to be patient year after year and understand some of these students, they can play, they just don't know. And who am I to blame? Am I going to blame the student? Yeah, you take some blame. You're some part of fault. But is it the directors that didn't teach them? If they're here, now it's my job to teach them. And year after year, I'm starting to realize I'm going to have to teach them more than what it is that they had to know like 10 years ago. So that's one of the biggest things. And also my best practice is transparency as well. Now, again, I'm almost 40. I'll be 40 this year. So I'm not as close with some of the students now as I was with when I first started, but I'm still as transparent. I let students know like what I'm doing. Hey, I'm finna be gone because I got to do X, Y, Z. And then they're like, well, what's that? That gives me an opportunity to talk about that. I'm transparent with them about family stuff. Hey, I'm going to be gone because I have to go out with my family, and I'm not going to sacrifice my family for y'all because I spend way more hours with y'all than I do my family. So if it comes time, I'm going to do with my family, I have to be whatever. And I let them know you need later on in life, you need to put some barriers. You need to put some things in place with your life that are non-negotiables, right? These are things in life that you talk about. I talk to them about like my personal health. Like, hey man, I've been going to the chiropractor because my shoulders, my back is messed up. My shoulders is off from when I'm marching there. And then they all started like, yeah, man, my shoulders messed up, especially like the bass drums and tenors. Well, I talked about me going to a chiropractor, and last year, I like maybe like 6 or 8 of them went to go get their backs readjusted, all because we had this conversation about like physical health and me being transparent about some of my issues. So that's one of the things I feel like is a best practice for me. Because when you have a level of transparency, students really don't think you're trying to get over on them. You know what I mean? And if you can be transparent about yourself, then they'll have the student be transparent with you, and then that's when trust is established. And if a student trusts you, they'll run through a wall for you if they know you got your best interest at heart. So transparency is always a good thing for me.
Hey, Lawhorn, it was 2 things you said that made me think of some stuff that I didn't say earlier. So like when you talked about the philosophy piece, like I'm real big on like the learner profiles, like before I get to a certain point. So like when I said earlier about, you know, I make sure you already have the music. I make sure I told it to you, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I even write down, like literally write down what it is that I want you to do. So by the time, so that's visual, auditory, reading. And then when I introduce kinesthetic, that's your body moving. I done did, You see what I'm saying? And it's justifiable. You've heard me say this before, Joey. That's why you clapping. But that is a true, like, I forgot the name of the person who actually came up with VARC off the top of my head, but like, you know what I'm saying? That's an actual philosophy that teachers use in the real education system, like K through 12, you know what I'm saying? And then it was another thing you said that that's real important that I started using last year. And I kind of talked about it in my interview before, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. But this summer, I've been going around with a summer camp that I work for. We've been going to like different businesses and stuff. And of course, everybody was affected by COVID and they're having trouble hiring, right? But all of the places that did better with hiring or did better with being sustaining themselves were places that offered on-the-job training. And that's how they were able to keep their employees. Like, so for example, we were at I can't remember the name. We were somewhere in Charlotte with that camp. And one of the companies we were at, they were like, previously we used to ask for specific degrees and specific things here. But now we've changed our whole program that we'll hire you, we'll give you specific on-the-job training that you have to do. So then that way we can keep those people. And I said, dang, like a lot of times we forget that like the drumline or just band in general is a business. Like, so we got to approach it like a business mindset. So like, when I get these students, I started doing this thing last year called interning, where it's like, I know everybody's not coming in, but what I'll do is I'll bring you on and I will give you on-the-job training for about a good 6 months, maybe a year if it take you that long. And then by that time, and a lot of people thought I was crazy because it was like, man, get him off the line. But then by the time spring came, they was like, oh, okay, this make a little sense. And then like I did the same thing in the spring with the high school kids. And like, that's why I can send out music now, because it's like, you done been with me and I gave you on-the-job training on this is how Central does it. And you're ready to roll for the most part.
Yeah, that's powerful right there, Mr. Hudson. Thank you. And we do remember what you touched on that, but as a best practices for everyone who's on here and even other instructors, that's a good point that you just made. So thank you.
Let me throw one in there too. I would say I had a different tool, but the way the conversation going is, I'm gonna switch it up a little bit here. I would say a good tool as an instructor is to not internalize the actions and behaviors of your students, right? When you get a kid who acts up, who refuses to learn his music, who's a discipline problem, whatever the case may be, that doesn't necessarily mean that he hates you. That doesn't mean that he doesn't care about the program necessarily. It's so many things in these kids' backgrounds that we're not necessarily tracking on, particularly like day 1, day 2 of camp. You don't know everybody and where they come from. You might know the school they come from, but you don't know what their home life is like. So I think when a kid comes in and doesn't behave in the way in which you want him to, a lot of times these kids don't know how invested we are in them. They don't understand the hours and hours that we spend either writing music or sitting up thinking about how to get the most out of our students. They're not thinking like that. They're 18 years old, 17 years old, 19 years old. They're not thinking, their brain not even finished growing and developing yet. These are young people who a lot of times just moved out of their mama house and don't even know how to find a calf, right? Much less know how to do some laundry or something like that. They got all type of challenges going on in their world. They were just uprooted from wherever they were and brought into a completely new situation. So, sometimes when they feel like they're behind the 8 ball or they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, sometimes their defense mechanism, their response might be anger or frustration, or to lash out, or to act like, y'all ain't better than me because you could play this music, you think you better than me. You get tough guys sometimes when they can't keep up. And I have found that instead of going, I'm offended that you did that, and now I'm gonna puff my chest out and yell at you, if you pull that person to the side one-on-one, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna have a completely different attitude with you. Especially if you lead the conversation by expressing your care for them, right? If you pull them to the side and you go, you were completely wrong, you were out of line, you were out of bounds, how could you ever think about saying, then they're gonna be defensive again, and that's what you're gonna get out of them, right? But if you pull them to the side and you say, I noticed you were struggling a little bit. Okay, it seems like you were upset. You want to talk to me about it? What's going on? How can I help? Is there a problem? Is there a personality difference? What's going on? And I'll tell you from my perspective, when I first started doing that, I felt like I was babying them, because nobody did that for me. But just like we're talking about with the time changing and everything, a lot of these kids have been taught their whole life that what they think and what they feel, everyone needs to hear that. Everyone needs to know that. You matter. How you feel matters, and we should all listen to you at all times. That's tough when you come into a program where you're a rookie or a crab, however you want to call it, and you come into the program and they're telling you, yeah, your purpose here is to learn. Like, we don't need to hear how you feel, and so I would just say that an important tool right there is just not internalizing and personalizing the actions and behaviors of these students, because a lot of them just don't know no better, and some of them are going to be a little slow on the uptake, and they take a little more time to learn.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just don't want to spend too much time on your point, but that's a valid point, because I just left high school. And when I tell you, I will go to high school, and as soon as I walk in, you got kids that's dealing with parent problems. You got kids that just told you I ain't eat all day. You got kids that like don't want to listen to you. And I had to really sit back and be like, okay, this kid can't be this bad. It can't be like this. And like you said, like, I had to learn how to take them. I felt like I was babying them too, because I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm really sitting here trying to make sure like you good, but then I had to take back and be like, their mental health is probably not the best. Like, they probably have trauma that they don't know how to process. And then I'm asking them to, I'm yelling at them in a sense, because it's just marching band and they're not interpreting that the correct way. And I had to sit back and be like, maybe it's me, like, is it me? Like, kind of like Lawhorn said, like, you got it? Okay, cool. Do you have it? No. All right, well, am I doing something? Like, what can I do to help you? Like, sometimes I had to do that. It's my third day. I've already had to pull 2 students to the side and be like, are you good? Like, I see that you're not here. Like, and then I found out, like, yeah, I just had, somebody passed away like 2 months ago. And I'm seeing now my approach was, oh, that makes sense. Like, I get it. Now I can empathize with you and I can understand, like, all right, So I had to learn not to take that personal and kind of really just be like, you got stuff going on, like, we can talk, but we don't have to talk now if you're not ready. Like, it takes a trust thing, but understand that the door is open if you do need, because it's a lot. We all know marching band is a lot. And then when you throw your personal life stuff on it, it just becomes very overwhelming, and then people break. We've seen it. We've seen people crack, break, and it's just like, whew.
Yeah,
Man, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I really got to piggyback on like Shawn and Joey's comments, and they both said something that you as an instructor, if you're listening and want the best practice and advice, is you got to do what's best for the people on your line and your line in general. So you're thinking about like saying baby in them. You just showing care. Like, we went through situations as young Black men and Black women where oftentimes we're told to just suck it up and go, just go. But when we're saying baby in them, when kids are infants, you take the most amount of care with them to make sure that they have the fundamentals needed to be successful when they, evolve and grow up. So if you got to baby your kids, baby them. If that's gonna make them play better. And that of course, what I'm saying, baby, I ain't, just really rock-a-bye baby them, but just show a little bit more care, a little bit more investment in them, because that's going to come back to you 100-fold. Like, I'm pretty sure this conversation that Joey had with the student, to have somebody pass away, I'm pretty sure the next time there's an issue, he gonna come and talk to him about this personally, because he's like, I was able to talk to him about this before. Maybe it's, is anything else I can do, because I know he's looking out for me. Situations like that, like, you really got to get to know your students. And one of the best situations I was in my music ed classes, it was Dr. D. One of his things was, students' backpacks. I always make students take off their backpacks whenever they play. Like, always take off your backpack. Why? First things first, you never know what's in the student's backpack. And in today's day, you never know like what's in their literal backpack, but you don't know what's in their, thought backpack or their family backpack or their mental backpack. And so when I have students take their backpack off, like, take off that extra weight that you're carrying around, either physically, emotionally, mentally. Take that backpack off and let this music rehearsal or drum practice or whatever we got for the next 90 minutes, hour, 2 hours, let this be your break, your good space. Take that backpack off. And so in that same situation, get to know your students get to understand what's in their backpack, and let them take their backpack off for a couple hours.
Yeah, let me just chime in. EP, do me a favor. Say your favorite quote.
Say it again.
Say your favorite quote.
It's not for us. It's not about us. It's for the culture.
Yeah, it's not. This is best practices. It's not for us. It's to make everybody better, per se. And just sitting here listening, I am so glad that things are changing and have changed just throughout the years. It seems like things are we're really getting a closer look and really how to deal with the kids at this point. And like I said, it's about the kids. We have already been at the top for whatever prospective programs. We have already had our time, had our good time. So now we want to really give back to the kids so they can give to the next. What do we say? It's always better to make the next generation that much better. It should be better.
Yeah.
How we learn should be better. So this was dynamic talking points.
Well, before you move on, not to spend too much time on this, but something that helped me and my guys. Once I know they accepted to the school, you passed the audition, I start working with them. July, you got the warm-up music, but I'm also talking to them. How's your day? This is what you need for band camp. This is what you need to pack. Blah, 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 blah. Just giving them a time to know me, giving me a time to know them, because you got to talk to everybody different. People stated, everybody don't learn the same way. So of July, before band camp, I'm learning, okay, this is how I need to talk to this guy. This is how I need to, teach this guy. So, come band camp, man, it's hot, the drum is heavy, this is going on. It's too much for the kids at that time. So I learned starting with them early. As soon as they accepted to the school, they auditioned, they made everything. I felt starting early, helps them and helps me. But,
Good. Hey, gentlemen, all good points. Did anyone else have anything to say before we move on to the topic? Okay, great. So you guys have really, hit a home run with that one. So let's go ahead.
Oh no, my bad. I'm sorry, I didn't know how to mute my phone. But yeah, just definitely get to know your students, like for real. Like I definitely want to, get to know your students and understand that like sometimes like that's a getaway for them. Like you never know what's going on. Like you never know, like that can be, when they're in your presence or, they playing, you never know like what that might take them to another world, or that might be their time to really express themselves freely, judge free zone, like so yeah, definitely get to know your students, and don't be in the I mindset, like, oh, it's just about me. No, because at the end of the day, it really is about your students and the culture.
That's awesome. So we've talked about the best practices for our individual programs and advice that you would give to other folks. But let's take another look at the actual longevity of a successful percussion instructor. And this isn't just for HBCU drumlines. This is for all drumlines, because we just don't want to narrow it down to what we do. And we do great things here at HBCUs, but we want to really talk to the masses at this point. Who wants to go first?
I will go.
Okay.
Basically, stay out the way for anything negative. Do what the band director say, and continue to push the envelope every year. I mean, it's just that simple. Stay out the negative stuff. Continue to push the envelope. Basically, it's that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah, I got something too. It's basically what you said, but I'm gonna say it in different words. Maintain the appropriate distance from your students. So for younger instructors, that might mean you got to take a couple steps back and constantly remind yourself that you got to be professional, right? Because the inclination of younger students or younger instructors is that these students are still their peers, but they're only your peers maybe in age if you're young. They're not your peer in the organization. And for older instructors, I would say maintaining the appropriate distance between you and the students might mean get more in tune with them, get more tapped in. If you've been a percussion instructor for 30 years, right, what's the difference between year 26 and 27? For you, it may not be a lot, right? Because it's all routine, you just do it year after year, but things are always changing. We just got finished talking about how the students change, but the craft is changing too. What constitutes for, great percussion music today probably looks a little different than what we were playing 20, 25 years ago. And so you can't come out here and continue to write, 5, tab drags in a row and say, oh, I'm killing them with this. It might be a little different now. And so you gotta stay engaged. You gotta keep up with the activity. You gotta keep up with the culture. What do the kids like to do? What is some of the stuff that the kids like to play? So if you're older, the challenge might be the opposite. But that's mine. I would say maintain the right amount of distance from the students.
All right, y'all talked about it from the student side, so I'm gonna go to the other side. Handle the business aspect. Like a lot of times people, so I got somebody that I know that's trying to come in and be a percussion director at another school, right? And they asked me to give them some advice, and we talked for about 15 minutes, and everything I said had nothing to do with drumming, because and nothing to do with students. I was like, make sure first of all you build that relationship with the director and go ahead and automatically understand what his vision is, and then make sure y'all clearly communicate the overlaps and whatever vision you got. But also you got to understand that his is always going to come above yours. You know what I'm saying? You may be able to influence his, because at the end of the day, that director kind of keeps you hired. Not kind of, but that director keeps you hired. You know what I mean? So you got to think about it from that perspective as well. The second piece is making sure you understand whatever university, for lack of better words, like rules and regulations are. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a lot of people that come in and they just know band and forget that you are a university employee. So you have other things that you have to do. And, people don't think about that sometimes. And you've seen people come in and it's like, dang, they were good with the group. What happened? And nobody from the group can give you an answer because it wasn't a group problem. It was you didn't understand that you were at a different level problem. So that's a big thing as far as your longevity, because at the end of the day, that provost, that dean, or whoever signs that check, they don't really know you. You know what I'm saying? You are their employee, and you're an employee of their employee. You know what I mean? So you gotta handle business on that aspect.
I really like that point. Thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Hudson. Thank you.
Man, look, hit the nail on the head, Brother Hudson. I would definitely say this is a small word, but be an asset. And when I say that, be a credit to the program, an asset and not necessarily a liability. And when I say be an asset, and I say this because I've been let go from a university before, and not necessarily anything of my own doing or anything like that, but I do things differently now because of situations I was placed in previously. And I'm like, I never want to be looked at as somebody who can be let go. So therefore, I feel like I'm an asset to the program, because I went from just saying, oh, I'm just going to do this as far as Drumline is concerned, to saying I'm going to be involved in everything, so that when it comes time to make decisions for the program, it's not just, oh, let's go talk to the drum guy. No, let's make sure we're involved so that my actions make it seem as if I don't want to let this person go. So make sure you're doing something make sure your worth is being shown, and you're just not the drum guy, because they can get another drum guy. It's some hot young alum that's tearing up the charts with the high school or something like that, and they're like, we can bring him in. If he ever stop acting up, we're gonna replace him. No, make sure you're bringing more to the table than just what's asked of you. Make sure that you're a true asset to the program, because when as KJ said, when the university starts saying, well, we need to your budget is a little too high, maybe that percussion instructor line you can let go. They're like, no, we need to keep him, or we need to keep her, because my program wouldn't be running. You remember those recruitment flyers that were made? Yeah, he did that. Oh, you remember when we brought in all those students that for the university? Oh yeah, he was the one out there recruiting and stuff. He wasn't just bringing in drumline students. He was recruiting for the whole band, for the whole university. It's little stuff like that that shows that you're bringing more to the table than just your hands and your sticks and what you can do with certain rudiments. Make sure you bring an asset to the program.
Yeah, Dr. Long, let me just comment on that real quick. Another point, talking to this particular point, I think it's really important for the instructors. Make sure, like you said, these people know you, not that you know them. Make sure they know who you are by, like you said, networking with them. And when it comes down to it, at least they know who you are. They can be tracked back to you, and someone asks them, well, who's your instructor? Hey, they may not know anything about the drum line or how it works, but they know, yeah, our drum line sounds great. It's actually run by Mr. Hudson, or it's run by Mr. Powell, or it's run by Mr. Lawhorn. They know you, and that probably conversation will come up to some of their higher up friends as well.
I mean, like Mr. Hudson said, it's a business. It's a business. Band is a business, and you got to be an asset. You have to be an asset.
Yeah. Anyone else want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I just want to say I kind of sat back on this question because, you know, I'm one of the newer instructors in here, so I was really taking in the feedback. But one thing I would probably try to add to it is, you know, just make sure that you make yourself like irreplaceable. Like make sure like you got the job because of X, Y, and Z. Just make sure you execute why you got the job, you know, and try to maintain that consistency and the discipline. Like, because I know for me, this job was really random. I just woke up one morning and I was just asked a question, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, how did I even get this opportunity? And I didn't even really notice that. I didn't notice the hard work I was putting in. I didn't really take into account like, oh, I really was going the extra mile just because I wanted to go the extra mile, and just because like I wanted what's best for the program. And then, you know, at my high school, you weren't replacing me because there was nobody better than me to do my job at my high school. So it wasn't I always brought new ideas to the table. I was always being innovative. Anytime there was a problem, I tried to create a solution. I didn't try to make it an even bigger problem or whatever. And I think by doing those things, it put me in a different position from other people. So it's like, he may not have done the work, but he's obviously capable of putting in that work because based on how he's like displaying his character. So I know for me, like, to keep my job for next year, I'm going to make sure, like, you know, I'm being innovative. I'm staying on top of the game. And I don't know, well, y'all wouldn't know, but I studied all of y'all drum lines. Like before I came up here, I'm like trying to keep up. I'm like, what's people doing? Like, are they still playing this cadence from 5 years ago? Like, what's going on? I'm trying to stay up to date because, I mean, nobody wants to see a drum line still like not being new, still playing. I mean, the tradition stuff is cool, but you ain't gonna bring nothing new to the table. Like, what's going on? And then it get boring. Then it just get invalid. And it's like, well, we need something new. But I appreciate y'all for y'all insight because I'm planning to stay here for a long time.
So for our viewers out here that are chiming in, I just want to say this: everyone who's on as a guest today, they are someone. You know, they just didn't fall into the position, and that falls back to you know, that networking thing. It's pretty hard to just fall into a position. You have to be someone.
Yeah, just to touch back on what Dr. Lawhorn said and Mr. Powell, be an asset and you know, push that envelope, man. You know, that's really my only two and you know inputs I have on this question. Being that I am, you know, one of the youngest as well, being at my second year. So yeah, you know, just and make sure you handling business. Like, you know, don't fall into, you know, sometimes it's very easy to fall into the negativity and the comments and like, oh, you just gotta keep your head on straight and you know what I'm saying, really keep your head on straight and on the swivel. So yeah.
Hey guys, I got something real. Mr. Hall, did you have something real quick?
I did. It was a little different, but I think it's still in the same vein. In the words of Robert Greene, never outshine the master, right? So we're percussion instructors, right? And we have a certain level of knowledge and expertise, but that doesn't mean that, to KJ's point, that we need to act like a know-it-all to our boss, to our band director, to the provost, to whoever we think will listen to us. We serve at the pleasure of the band director, and he or she could get rid of us if they really wanted to, probably a lot easier. And we've all seen programs where that choice was made, that trigger was pulled because that person was more of a liability than they were an asset, at least in the eyes of the band director. And so this person could be very talented, but someone who doesn't think you or your percussion section is as important as you do, they'll get rid of you. They'll get rid of you. And that percussion section might sound like absolute trash for the next 10 years because they pulled that trigger and they don't care. They don't even care.
At all.
So you gotta know, you gotta put yourself in the appropriate space, right? Say you and your band director get into a disagreement. Many of us don't have the luxury of having a band director who might be a percussionist. I'm blessed in that regard, whereas my band director is a percussionist and was my teacher when I was in undergrad, but that's not common. You can't necessarily talk in language that a wind player might understand. And so when they say, this is what it's going to be, then you got to go, okay, and I'm just going to figure out whatever I got to do to make that work. Because percussion is not march, it's not the drum line and, oh yeah, the band too. It's the marching band. So just remembering your role in the entire scheme of things, I think can help a lot of percussion instructors.
And that's why I said that I guess generic term in the beginning, stay out the way. Don't be, okay, I'm the man. This is what I don't care what the band director says. This is what we gonna do as a drum line. Stay out the way. Know your role, play your role.
Okay, good. I got a little fun question for everybody on here real quick. So we have stay out of the way, business, asset, and stay relevant, okay? So rank these in the most important, rank them out of the four. How would you put those in order? What's most important to you?
Give me those four again. I'm trying to write them down.
We got stay out of the way. Stay out of trouble. Don't get in any trouble. Stay relevant. Handle the business first and an asset. Be an asset to the line or be an asset to the program.
I think I got mine. I'm always put business first because it can encompass some of them other pieces a little bit. So business definitely first. Then I'm gonna put relevance second. Now I'm getting a toss up is to stay out of the way and the asset, but I'm gonna go with asset and then stay out of the way last. And the reason I do that is because even if you're doing it last, those other three, in most cases, as long as you're not doing nothing crazy, if you're too much of an asset, that director might not get but so upset with you being in the way. So that's why I'll put that last. But even still, even though it's last, do it.
I'm gonna flip it. My bad, Nick. I'm gonna flip it. So I'm gonna go stay out the way. Well, my version is stay out the way. Because if you're doing what I've seen some people do, they think they're the band director, right? So as long as you don't forget you're not the band director, that's staying out the way to me. And so stay out the way first, because at least you could keep your job and then you have an opportunity to do all the other stuff. You got an opportunity to make yourself an asset. You got an opportunity to, do all the other things. In truth, I don't remember all the rest of the list, but I would say get out the way, because if you stay out the way, it'll give you runway to at least attempt to do the rest of that stuff. The other things, like if you're like an incredible asset, right? And your band director goes, man, this guy, he's on top of his game, but I really don't like him at all, right? It's just he might wake up one day and go, that person is more trouble than they worth, So I'm a Thanos snap that kid, and we'll bring somebody else in here, So I would say stay out the way, and then that'll give you opportunities to do some of the other things.
Yeah, I'm gonna say stay out of the way, Stay out of the way. Business. Stay relevant. No. I'm start over. Stay out of the way. Business, asset, and stay relevant.
I'm gonna say this, EP. Your statement of "stay out of the way" seems to be popular.
I think I would say.
Definitely.
Oh,
Go ahead, Joe.
You sure? All right. I would say handle business first, because like KJ said, you can kind of put a lot under that. And then I would say stay relevant, stay out the way, and then be an asset. And the reason why I would put asset last is because it would serve as like a reminder for me. Like after I do the first year, like, am I being an asset or am I being a liability? And that would be like my follow-up. It'll be like my own accountability. And then if I answer yes, then that means I successfully did the first three.
Oh, that long.
My first and foremost by far is to handle business. And I guess handle business comes next. It just may not be on there, but you can say the same. Just handle your responsibilities. Because when you say handle business, that comes from signing paperwork and stuff like that. But also handling your business is making sure you're doing what you need to as a percussion instructor, professor, whatever. It means writing the music, ordering the drum heads, knowing what's needed for the group, being prepared, like in meetings and stuff like that. If they ask you to handle something or have your part together, that you're ready on the next meeting or anything like that. So handling business, sometimes we think, the business aspect of it as far as signing paperwork and stuff like that. No, but it means handling your business at your job. So do your job. That means handling business, do your job. The next I would say is probably relevancy. Making sure you're relevant and be aware of what's happening around you. To know that, okay, if you have a group of people that's trying to push the envelope and be creative, as Shawn said, you can't be trying to write stuff that's out of pocket, that's out of date. Make sure you're relevant in the industry that you're in, so that you know what's happening around you. And then I guess next would be stay out of the way. And then asset. As Joey said, if you're doing everything else, the asset could be last to make sure, okay, I've done all this other stuff. How else can I help? So yeah, that may be why it's last.
Hey, can I ask a question real quick about the what was it? It's like it was something like staying up to date. What's it called?
Stay relevant. Stay
relevant, that one. Here, I got a question, a lot of curveball in here for a second. Do we think that everyone will agree with that it's our responsibility to stay relevant, or is that the bias of the people on this call right now?
Let me chime in real quick. Before we even started this episode, we had a small little discussion on Pace It, and I think this will sum it up, right? If there is an instructor that has not been to Pace It, you have to wonder what type of relevance, how relevant that they are, because there's no way not to go to that and see what's on the cutting edge of what we do as an instructor of a drum line, as an instructor of a percussion ensemble. It's just no way. It's just no way. You may go out there on your own and say, hey, look, yeah, I like this way to sound. Hey, man, that was done 15 years ago. But you wouldn't know that because you don't know what's being played now. And I'll step back and I'll leave it at that.
I think part of it is it can be the bias, because you do have some lines that are traditional and they stick to what they do, and they don't care about staying relevant because they care more about being traditional. So I guess in a way I would say that it could be a little biased, but then if you look at like music nowadays, you're not gonna hear no 90s hip hop on the radio. The generation now, they're gonna listen to that and be like, what is that? And then if we listen to the radio now, it's like it don't sound like music, but that's what's relevant in today's world. So if you try to be a famous producer, or if you try to just make it in the music industry, period, but you still trying to that your sound doesn't really sound like what they want to hear right now, you're not gonna catch no momentum. Nobody's gonna want to rock with you. So in a sense, it's like yes and no.
I think.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I guess this means, people are gonna be biased, but at the end of the day, I guess remain relevant to what you feel will bring you more students. You know what I mean? Like if those people are set in their line and they have their tradition, people are gonna go to that school to play like that. So you probably don't have to change how you play because people just want to come and play like that. Maybe people come from a high school and that's very similar to that college that you're going to go to. So that's why you play like that. Some programs are always pushing the envelope with either creativity, with what they play and how they play. And so you may need to remain relevant in some of the newer things that are coming out because you're recruiting students that play at a really high caliber. So I guess that means remain relevant to what it is you are doing. If creativity is your thing, keep being creative. If open 5-stroke rolls is your thing, but then lock them 5-stroke rolls in so you can get some people coming in. But whatever it is that is relevant to your program and what you do that.
Yeah, that's basically what I was about to say. Oh, yeah, that's basically what I was about to say. Staying relevant, man, that kind of help your recruitment. We live in a social media, is what I like to call it, at least, world now. So, you more than likely going to reach these kids on social media. It's not like, when you all was coming up or, more so when me and Joewe was coming up. So I feel like, yeah, like, that kind of, that staying relevant thing kind of plays a part in, that traffic that you bring to your school and the type of students that you're recruiting per se.
So after I heard everybody talk, and listen to everything everybody said, I'm glad I didn't go first. Because I do want to make sure we don't look at relevancy as being up to date as the same exact thing, even though they have a overlap. They might not necessarily be the same exact thing at all times. For example, there are certain schools, like Joey said, that have never really changed their traditions at all, but that consistency has made them relevant. See what I'm saying? And then, there are other schools that's like, because they went away from their tradition, that made them relevant. So like, I feel like even if people, going back to the original question, even if people would try to say that, relevancy is not important, those are probably going to be the people at your schools that are wondering why they're not getting as much. And let's just call it what it is. Like, it'll be people that'll be like, well, dang, like, we're not like y'all. We're not pulling in 15, 20 freshmen a year. We only get 7. Well, might be because you're not focused on relevancy. You know what I'm saying? So like, even if it is a biased thing, just go back to what I said in the beginning. Like, is it productive? Is it effective? So I'm gonna stick with it. Like, no matter what but that relevancy can look like different things. It can either be change that's making you relevant, or it can be consistency that's making you relevant.
Point. Man, this has been a wealth of knowledge at this point. And as we get to the our next topic here, we just want to say thank you guys once again for joining us. It's been a pleasure. EP, let's move on to the next one.
So we always talk about, mental health as far as the kids, our students. What are some things you guys do as far as keeping y'all, you all mental health, in top-notch shape? From August to December, it's a lot of time. We putting in 60 hours a week, maybe more. We're away from the girlfriend, the wife. They fussing. Why you at practice all night long? What's going on? You hearing that in your ear? And the kids, where you at, Daddy? How do you all, how do you all handle that?
I'll go first because mine gonna be easy. I'm gonna bring them with me. Like, come to practice. Come to practice. But all jokes aside, like, Cadence, I don't know if y'all saw her in the background a few minutes ago, but like, every drumline that I taught know my daughter. And she will come and she get to the point where she thinks she's the assistant instructor and be like, that's not right. That's not what my daddy said. You know what I mean? But also, on a more serious note, I don't know if there's something wrong with me for this, but like, my previous director, Mr. Hollins, he was really, really big on like checking in on people and voicing, what anxieties were and stuff like that. And I remember talking to him, and I was like, I don't know if something wrong with me, but I don't know how to relate to that. Like, I don't even think like that because band and two other things, but I'm not gonna say, have always been like my those are my de-stressors. You know what I'm saying? So the stuff that comes along with band, because I signed up for it, because I like it, it don't really bother me that much. So that's why I went first, because I really wouldn't have so much advice, because I like it. Sort of like, in my personal life, sometimes I like to cause chaos. So I thrive in it. So it don't bother me because I enjoy it when it comes to like my play stuff. That's why Joey laughed, because you're like, I know what KJ talk about. Like, my play side is my play side, and whatever comes with it, I'm cool with it. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, I'm so in the same boat. If it wasn't for the line, I'd probably be depressed, mad all the time. But yeah, it's what I enjoy to do. My wife knows where I'm at. My girlfriend at the time, I took her to one practice. She saw how long we practiced. She was good after that. I understand. All right, I see you when you get home. But just man, it's fun to me. So it's not really no challenge. No, it's nothing to me.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that too. Like, of course, we all have our own de-stressors and things that we do on our own that help alleviate all that. But for me, like, the only time I really had like my mental is like when I get too involved with the student's personal life. Like, I had a student tell me, like, single parent, like just the typical story, and then like it would hit me and I'd be like, man, this it's already a lot going on, and then I'm asking a lot from this kid, but he got so much going on, and it's just like that's where I would like kind of mess up at, because I would get too attached to like trying to make sure everybody was straight, but again, like when we don't deal with those problems, like the day job itself, like the activity, what we're doing, it don't really stress me out, because this is what I love to do, and I enjoy teaching, and I enjoy sitting there and watching them mess up over and over again until they get it, and then they get that light, and then they feel like they can do it now. It's just like, cool. Like, I don't really get. I mean, I don't know. I mean, of course you have your days, but I don't. It don't really affect me that way, because this is something I worked hard for and I really dreamed of. Like, if I was working like another job, like, yeah, I'll probably be stressed and upset and depressed and all that. But this is low key my outlet when I don't have my personal outlet. So I think my answer would just be, I deal with it pretty well, and then of course, you know, you got the things that you do, whatever, boom, boom. But I'll be pretty good for the most part.
Yeah, man, I like to call it my sanctuary, actually, man. That's where, I go and, I'm stress-free, I'm worry-free, I'm carefree. Like, when I'm in front of that section, man, nothing else really matters at that point until I leave. And okay, now I'm back to the regular life and, my regular life and reality. But like once I step in front of the section, man, it's like that's where I'm free. Like I can. That's one way that I express myself, and we all express ourselves. So I like to say, man, that's my sanctuary, man, for real. And like actually, like 4 years ago when I stepped away from it, I was probably at my lowest, man. Like that was probably like. I legit had to step away from this for a while because I was legit at my lowest. Like I was at my lowest in my 29 years of living. Like I was, yeah. But when I got back, when I shook, I shook myself, shook everything off, got my mind back right, and that's when basically all my dreams happened. So, yeah, man, this is. Man, these drones saved my life for real. Keep it real with you. Like I don't know what I'll be doing right now. I don't know, man. If it wouldn't have been for these drones, I don't know what I'd be doing right now for real. Like for real. So it hit a little different for me. This question hit, a little different because it's really a real deal lifesaver for me. It was. So yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you.
That's super real. And I know probably a lot of us feel like percussion and band, playing an instrument has given our life purpose. So that definitely hit home with me, sharing your experience. I would say for me, my tip or piece of advice would be honest communication. So honest communication with your friends and family. You got kids, your children, your significant other, but also with yourself, right? Do you really need to be up there at practice, from the time practice starts to 3 hours after practice ends every single day, or are you just being a bandhead? Are you just standing on the sideline, laughing it up, yucking it up with your friends? Or are you there to do your job? I would say balancing your time properly and holding yourself accountable. So honest communication with yourself will go, you know what? You've been up here, you did your job, you set a goal to come up here and teach in sectionals, you taught in sectionals. And so now it's time to, head home and do the wife thing and do the kids thing or whatever it is, the girlfriend thing or whatever your thing is. Or get ready for work the next day or whatever it is. So I would just say, being honest with yourself and with the people around you is key.
Mr. Hall, you made a very good point. Not to cut anybody off, but yes, and I had that problem in the beginning. I wanted to be there all day, even afterwards. But I had to learn, that's why we got section leaders, this and that, and also I don't have to be there every day. My section leaders know what to do. The kids know what to do. They got the music. So I have to learn the hard way. I don't have to be there all the time, every day, But yeah, that's a very good point.
And you got to be careful sometimes because you could turn into you could turn from a percussion instructor into an old head, like at the drop of a hat, out of nowhere. You just like, man, we sounded better and we this and we that. Well, hold on, wait a minute. Is this what you came up to the campus for? So it's important to have that work life, home life balance.
Yeah. Then we have one more. Lawhorn, you there?
He's dealing with the chicken right now.
Oh yeah.
On the grill. Okay, it's no problem. So I just want to chime in and say, man, you guys, this has been such an enjoyable thing to just sit down and have our own lounge session and just talk about percussion and best practices and everything. So do we want to wait for Dr. Lawhorn?
I guess we can go ahead. He just chime in.
Yeah, he'll chime back in. Yeah.
So we can go ahead.
It's coming to a close at this point, and I got a quick question. I'm going to just go around. I'm going to just call on somebody. Now, just keep in mind, excluding your own school. Nick, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, I'm here.
Who's your okay, well, hold up. Dr. Lawhorn, do you have something to say about the last comment about the mental health?
I do, and I apologize because what I'm about to say has to do with why I jumped off screen. You got to find some balance. Like my life has changed. I got 2 little ones, and my son is acting a fool. So if you hear him, you got to find balance. And Shawn said something that really helped me is that realizing there is more time available than you give yourself. Like, do I really got to be here right now? Because I can go home. I can go home. Like you can go home. Nobody's telling you to be there for 20 hours of the day. Like you have to understand, like, I'm going to give this my time right now. I tell people this all the time. Don't waste my time. I can make more money. I can't make more time. And I'm understanding now that the value of my time is at a premium. Like you're going to have to pay me for my time. So while I'm here at the job, I'm 1,000% focused. But when it's time for me to go, I'm gone. And y'all don't call me, don't do nothing, because I just gave you as much time as I can give you. Now I have to give that time to somebody else or someone else or another idea or something like that's gonna keep me balanced. And you just can't be there all the time. So the best thing to focus on your mental health or keep it together is to find balance. If you like something else or you're interested in other things, like just find a way to balance it all and keep everything at an even keel level pace.
It's funny that Lawrence said that, and Mr. Powell said his comment too, because I remember Lawhorn's first year at A&T, like he didn't have as much as he had now. So it was like, okay, yeah, he here. But then, you know, as like, you know, the kids grew up and he got a second kid, it was times where it was like, yeah, I got to go to the house. And I'm the sex leader. And I'm like, I get you, do your thing. And we'll have a little conversation, like, make sure this get done, this get done, this get done. It's like, okay, cool. You know, and then it's my job now as the sex leader to execute because, again, he has a family. He has things he has to take care of. So it's like, it's a mutual respect, communication type deal where you have to like have established. And, you know, it's like a two-way street. And it was just ironic because Powell said his point and then Lawhorn came in and then I related to both of it. And I was like, oh, I remember when that actually really happened. And it was like, I got you. And I guess it was more so just I got you, like, you know, go ahead. And he'd be like, I bet, I'm out. And then when he in line, he gone. And I ain't about to call him. No, he at home now. Like, we can handle it. And if not, we'll wait till tomorrow and he'll be here.
Oh, so that's another point. Instructors, you have to empower your leaders. You really have to empower your leaders. If you're going to have section leaders and then you just literally like micromanage them and like, what's the point of having section leaders if you're going to do everything? Like, make sure you empower your students to be leaders, so that if you do have to step away for something, that they're able to handle it as you would, you know what I mean? Not, oh, you give yourself some leaders and now you're gone. They're going to do just something totally different. Like, no, make sure you empower your leaders and give them situations to where they can grow in leadership roles so that if you do have to step away, that things can happen in your absence.
Thank you. Anyone else, anything else to chime in on that last topic about mental health and work-life balance? Okay, that's not. We're going to move on. We pretty much come to the end of our conversation. And I just want, like I said, want to say thank you guys again for this lounge session or percussion instructor lounge session. So let's get into the bonus question at this time. I may have two bonus questions, but we'll just start with this one at this point. So I'm going to start with Nick. Mr. Jackson, outside of your own line, what's your top 3 HBCU drum lines this year that you're watching?
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing Fort Valley. That's one. 2 and 3. Let me go a little everywhere here. I'm going to say I want to see. I'm interested in Alabama State. See what they coming with, and the last but not least, I want to see what South Carolina State about to be hitting on, man.
Okay, good. Got some good schools there.
See what South Carolina State. Yeah, I want to see what South Carolina State about to be hitting on. I mean, I can answer it more, but you said 3, so
yeah, just 3.
Yeah. I give you those 3.
Okay, cool. Mr. Hall, outside of your own school, what's the top 3 drum lines that you're going to be watching this year?
Top 3, probably just the schools closest to us. It feels like a cop-out answer, but A&T, Hampton, and Virginia State, to be honest. I think we got games with, I don't know if we play Virginia State this year, but I know we got a game with Hampton. I know we got a game with A&T. But yeah, we on the East Coast, so that's what I pay attention to. Dark horse, sleeper pick, I'll go Benedict.
Here it is. Okay, Mr. Hudson.
All right. Benedict is actually on my list. Not sure what order I would have put them in, but I definitely put Benedict on the list because me and A-Tech are pretty cool, and we've always talked about doing a little something, and it seemed like we always end up at places, so maybe we'll get to do a little something. Definitely will want to look at Hampton too, because I know they got some changes. So I just want to see how those changes affect the line. So I'm definitely going to be watching them. And then it was a group that popped out 2 years ago, and we don't talk about them enough. And I hope I don't say the wrong name because I think they're purple and black. I think it's Miles. They popped out.
You talking about that school in Memphis? That school in Memphis, it started with an L. It started with an L.
No, they don't start with it. I think it's Miles that I'm talking about.
Okay.
Because they did they battled Talladega, and then they battled Kentucky State, and then they did like a little joint in front of Killer Kev. And I was like, these boys are kind of straight. They tuning is pretty nice. They approach is pretty uniform, but nobody's really talking about them a whole lot. I think it's Miles. I hope I'm not saying the wrong school, but I like them. I want to see what more they do. Matter of fact, the instructor I think was from Bama State. What's my
Miles.
boy?
Carlisle.
Carlisle. Yeah.
You talking about Miles.
Yeah. So I've been noticing they've been doing a lot of good stuff, and people haven't really been talking about it. So I want to see more of them.
Okay, good. Mr. Lawhorn, Dr. Lawhorn.
First is Norfolk. Honestly, people can say this is like you can cocky or whatever. I understand like where Cole still sits in the hierarchy of like drum lines, and Norfolk is really good. And it like a lot of our seasons sometimes if it comes down to like, well, what happened at Norfolk, or there's the battle. And I don't know if there's gonna be a battle or anything like that. But I know there's like the culture battle. I know we have a game, so we play Norfolk. So it's like I think Norfolk just in a not just drumline but band wise always brings out the best of each. Like Norfolk plays really well against us, and we always play really well against them. So, like Norfolk is really good. Like I'll put your pride aside, man. When talent is good, it's good. So stop hating and recognize if you got a rival that they good. Don't just be like, nah, we hate, man. They're good. So Norfolk is one. Two is gonna be Central, just because I rock with KJ. And I rock with KJ with Mr. Hudson, and I rock with KJ. Just as cool people, you know what I mean? So, and the fact,
go ahead.
Mr. Plum himself.
Because I couldn't say Cole Steele because technically that's what I'm saying. But you already know what type of time we on. Yeah.
So the thing about it too
like
is
certain impact.
Yeah, but the thing about it is not just that it's a rival or whatever. It's just that like knowing what KJ has done from the high school level and how he's taking Central and doing that thing like this is cool to see. You know what I mean? I hit him up about a cadence or something that they played. Like I was like, oh, that's a little funky there, man. It couldn't have been written better myself, but hey, it's okay. Cool. And the last school, I guess I would say, is Langston. Honestly, a former guy that I marched with. Clifton Love is instructor there. So again, I'm talking about balance. You can hear a little dude in the background. So Cliff is a product of the box from Prairie View, and I was a senior when he marched as a freshman. And so he's by far like one of the most talented dudes like I know. So seeing what he's doing with Langston is really good, and just to see how far he's gonna take it. And then the dark horse. This is like his third year, going to his third year at Langston. Maybe third full year at Langston. So sorry about the tears. And the dark horse sleeper is Joewe. I want to see like what is he gonna do, knowing that he taught at like T.W. Andrews, and they had a foundation with Cyril, and then it went from Cyril to Joewe, and how he like just kept everything, like didn't lose a beat. Like I've known Joewe since he was in high school. So to see him progress, the musical knowledge that he has and where he's gonna take it, I'm interested to see where that's going.
Cool. And Joewe, I think EP will get to you last, but Joewe.
I appreciate that, Lawhorn. I think the first school, well, I ain't gonna say the first school. It's no particular order, but of course I'm gonna watch the boys back home, A&T, just to see how they maintain it and if they can keep everything how it is. The another school I'm gonna keep an eye on is Central, simply because, like Lawhorn said, KJ over there now, so I'm really interested to see how Central, like his teachings reflect onto the drumline and the things that he do to make Central you know, that much of a better line than what it was. And then I'm interested in seeing Benedict simply because I know Tariq, he be talking. He be like, y'all better watch out for Benedict this year. I'm writing new stuff. I'm changing the tune in. I'm doing all this stuff. So he sparked up okay, let me see if Benedict on some heat, you know, or whatever. So I'm gonna definitely keep watching. And then sleeper, dark horse, I think that's what y'all saying. Lane College. I rock with Lane College. You know, I don't really know I don't know too much about them. I just know every time I watch Lane, they're entertaining to me. Like I like their cadences. The cadences don't come off boring to me. And I think they're new. Like they had to be at least 5-6 years in the game. I don't know. So, but Lane never misses when I watch them.
Yeah, they popped up on the scene. I remember how they popped up. It was like 2015-ish. And they kind of like bullied their way into the game, like on some 50 Cent type. Like for real, like I used to do this analogy of like relating different drum lines to different artists. And Lane is like the 50 Cent of drum lines. Like they came in and they just bullied their way in. Like I remember the Percussion Connection. They kept talking about themselves. And we was like, who are y'all? Then they finally popped out and they battled. It was either UAPB or Jackson. Can't remember what the order was. And they put on a good show. And it was like, oh, like both times. And then, you know what I'm saying? Like every battle we've seen them in, it's like, oh, okay, y'all the battle group. You know what I'm saying? Y'all the ones that want to come in and get down. So yeah.
Especially when they battle Hampton. I was like, oh, these boys.
Yeah, that was probably their best showing.
Play.
Yeah. I like what they did
too. I was like, oh yeah, they out here trying to wreck shop.
Good. EP.
All right, so of course, you know, I'm going to watch, you know, Norfolk. They down the street. Hell of a drum line, hell of a band. Of course, the A&T. Of course, Central. So I'm going to watch, you know, many of those three schools. They, you know, best lines ever. But for my three, I guess, up-and-coming lines that I'm really focused on would be Javon at Allen University.
Yeah.
He's doing this thing with the percussion ensemble. Joewe, Wilberforce, I judged you, man, your high school, so I know what you can do. So I'm waiting to hear that. And of course, my boy Nick, you know, you did your thing last year.
Appreciate it, man.
I know you're gonna build on top of that. So those are three lines I'm gonna really focus on this year.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it for real.
Cool. I think this has really been a good topic. I'll give my three here at this point, excluding my own school. But I think I'm going to keep a close eye on FAMU this year, just because I think that they're on the cuffs of just coming out and just doing something special. Also, Joey at Wilberforce, I think all eyes are going to be on you.
Yeah.
Program that's just that's starting
out.
Everybody
going to be watching. I already told them, I said, when the world find out that I'm the instructor there, oh, it's going to go crazy. The world's going to flip.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna there's a particular school in the SWAC that I'm gonna be really looking at. It's just Alcorn. I think I'm gonna be really just dialed into seeing, you know, what they're gonna just do this year. Outside of that, so man, all good schools that everyone talked about. You guys got one more before we close. I got one more bonus question. Okay, just one more. You guys.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Here's the thing, and Joey, who do you want to see on this call?
Who do I want to see on this call?
What drum line do you want to see? I want to see
Dr. Lamon Lawhorn right there.
Okay.
Hey, Joe, you gonna catch this work. Yeah, you gonna catch this work, man. You gotta hold on, man. We're a machine, man. Get off the tracks. Get off the tracks.
Going to the top.
Hey, Nick, who do you want to see?
The school that we're gonna see October 15th in Greensboro, man. I'm really looking forward to that game, man. For real. I'm really looking forward.
I just thought about this. Like I'm going to jump in there, but it's like, who do I want to see? Like I'm gonna see all three of these dudes. Like this is I don't have a choice, man. It's not.
Who do you want to see?
You said me?
Yeah, KJ, who do you want to see?
Actually, I'm gonna go different. I actually want to see Norfolk because our styles are so different, and our tuning styles are so different. And I would want to see them at Norfolk because one of my things I've always been trying to do is perfect my style enough where no matter where I go, people can understand it. And so I know if I can go to that crowd with my tuning style and get them to understand it, then I know that we really on the wave that I want to be at.
Cool. Mr. Hall, who do you want to see?
Okay, well, the short answer is whoever wins the SWAC. That's what I want to see. Whoever in football, whoever wins the SWAC, because Norfolk State is trying to get a football team going here, and we were about one win away last year from going to Celebration Bowl. And I think PV and Jackson were kind of tied for first, and Jackson ended up winning it? I think they did because they played South Carolina State. And I just think either one of those battles would be epic, either Jackson and Norfolk or Prairie View and Norfolk, because again, like what KJ said, the styles are so different that if both lines did what they were supposed to do, I think the crowd would just walk away going, it don't even matter who won because the show was so good.
That's a good point. But I was actually asking, who do you want to see? The folks that are on this
call.
I
say, let me think. I say probably KJ's group, because it's been some years. It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while. And definitely since KJ took over, we haven't seen them. It feels like we see A&T every year or every other year, but obviously they're one of the top groups. But we see them all the time. So I would say probably Central.
Peter Great. Tell them something good.
What I want to see on this group, Central and Everett Waters. At the same time, don't matter to me. At the same time, don't matter.
But
all jokes aside, though,
that'll be a nice little three-way battle for real, though.
Like,
for real.
I got to get with you anyways, EP, because we trying to schedule some stuff where, like, when we're traveling up to like hit different places on the way back. So I need to get up with you offline. So we can work that out.
We can make it happen.
You know what I'm saying? Or hold on, Nick, you said y'all coming up on the 15th?
Yeah.
Never mind. We haven't jumped on the 22nd.
October 15th. That's the A&T and
Everett Waters game. Because we think about trying to bring the whole brawl thing back. Like, seem like band brawls have kind of died. A lot of it's because of COVID. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's been a while since people done did that. You know, even if we got to do it with just the drum lines first. You know, if we can catch a weekend where like a lot of people are close to each other, band director's not gonna mind if they don't have to go out of their way if they can get some recruitment. You know what I'm saying? And everybody can win. So we definitely need to sit down one day and compare schedules.
I definitely want to, tap into that up that East Coast, man. As far as recruiting wise, it's talent up there, man. I kind of, want to come see what it's about.
Yeah, because Nick, man, like, and I think we talked about this on IG when they was talking about the three-way battle or whatever. But like, what you doing, like, it's locking in, bro. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I can't wait to see, like I could tell, and don't take this the wrong way, like, you still. It's your hand is on it, but it ain't the gumbo ain't settled the way you want it yet. But I could tell like it's almost there. You know what I'm saying? And that's the piece that I've been waiting on to see. Cause like, when I looked at your group, it was like, yo, he's experimenting with some things and they understand it, but they don't feel it all the way yet. But when they feel it, it's I'm interested in what y'all gonna do because y'all going in a different lane. And that's the piece that I like with a lot of drum lines. And I like, we're going back to where everybody has their own identity again. Because, for a little while, it was like three major identities and everybody fell under those. But now, like, everybody's starting to do their own thing again.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate it, man. I feel real good about this upcoming year, the upcoming, line. And, hey, man, I hope, we're gonna see what to do this fall, man, for real.
Oh, good. Hey, sounds like it'll be a good showing. Did I miss anyone?
Well, I know I made the statement who I want to see. But I actually would like to see everybody on the call in a cadence like matchup. Mark, you graduate So I'm to battles being like cadence for cadence. Like, what do you play during? What's in your book? Not necessarily what did we prepare this day. And I when I got to the MEAC, I saw that like drum battles were like the 10-minute show that you put together, not a cadence for cadence battle. So I would just like to see like what's in everybody's material on a daily, weekly basis. So let me see like 3 rounds or 4 rounds, cadence for cadence, and just see how it goes.
Hey, I got a quick one, if y'all don't mind. And I think, Lawhorn, you probably heard me talk about this. Like, I've always wondered, like, you know how people, and this kind of go back to the Norfolk Central thing with the tuning style being so different. Like, I always wonder what would happen if the instructors and the lines were cool enough where they did a drum swap. Like, for example, like, they line up the battle, and then they do their little thing, and then after they get done, like, let's say, I don't know, I'll just use Norfolk since our tuning styles are so different. They went and ran one of their cadences on our drums and see what it sound like. And we ran one of our cadences on their drums and see what it sound like. Because I think a lot of times we get so locked into what it feels like and what the tuning is like and not what's actually being done. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know, especially with people in different regions, like, you know, you get so used to this that it's like, okay, what happens when you take it out the element? Like, is it still going to be the same? You know what I'm saying? I think that's I could go longer and I don't want to go too long, but like, it's a lot that could be done with that if you like really see like, okay, what happens when I put you in a different element and how would we interpret this now? You know what I mean?
Nice idea.
Just off topic with tuning. Hey man, when you put them silver dots on them toners, man, you did that, man. I had to speak on that on wax, man.
I appreciate that, bro.
Sure. Like,
you know what's funny though? Like, that was a weird concept though, because a lot of people, some people liked it, some people didn't. Like, I did realize the mistake that I made with that situation, and if I get a chance to redo it, I know how I'm gonna fix it to make it almost perfect. Because like a lot of people in our area, they don't like overtones. You know what I'm saying? Like they demonize them a little bit. But like I kind of had to really like get in my bag a little bit to kind of like figure out how to work the overtones into what I was trying to do. So when you heard us on a good day, it's like, oh, okay, I feel it. But that's the thing, like those, unfortunately, and I think I talked about this with EP, like, you know, sometimes on the camera, they don't always sound the way that I want them to, but like in person, like everybody that's heard them in person, like it's a totally different ball game. Like, but I appreciate that, bro, because I don't know, that's something that was like one of my instructor goals, to like learn how to really use that to my advantage and actually make it work. You know, because I'm a rule breaker if you haven't figured out by now. Like whatever everybody says is not supposed to happen, I want to figure out how to make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that.
That was very different. That was very different, man, for real.
Hey,
Ooh, well, what's the question?
take it on out.
Ready? So we done? Everybody, last comments? Any more comments? We done?
I'm good.
Yeah,
So
we done had lounge for real, bro. We been in here for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to take time to thank everyone for taking their time off their day. You know, we about to start camp, so I'm sure you got stuff to plan for, you know, spend with family. But thank you for taking time out your day to come on the episode. Please follow us, like, share, Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora. And like I always say, it's not about us, it's about the culture. Until next time, everybody have a good one.
You guys have a great evening. Thanks again for coming on. It's good to see you. You guys have a good night.
It was a pleasure.